Bruce McDonald. Growing up in Rexdale, Ontario in the 60s and 70s, Brucey was making movies on his 8mm Brownie camera.
I got started in film making Super 8 zombie movies. We got all my friends and myself to dress up like zombies, and we attacked our local high school and convinced the teachers all to be the victims.
By the time he was a film student at Ryerson, well, he was making award-winning shorts. I'm talking about short films, not those awkward little pants. He was working with the likes of Adam McGowan and the legendary Canadian director, Mr. Norman Jewison.
I want to make a movie. And I want you to be the star.
What?
By 1990, Bruce McDonald knocked the Canadian established film industry on its ass when he put out a picture called Roadkill.
If you want to make it, you've got to go down to California or something, but I'm going to change all that.
Two more followed, Highway 61 and Hardcore Logo. And along with Dance Me Outside, they cemented McDonald's reputation as Canada's most risk-taking rock and roll director.
I am the Wolverine. I rip the throat from my enemy. I paint myself with their blood.
You know, but not everything worked out as planned for Bruce. In 2001, he had a high-profile fiasco with his movie Picture Claire. It went direct to DVD despite a rather big budget and Hollywood stars. And he documented the experience in the still underground documentary, Claire's Hat. But now Bruce is back with what might be his most ambitious project yet, the Tracey Fragments.
We've got a crisis here.
Everything's a crisis. We have to find him.
Why don't you go home?
There's a look at the man's career, and here he is, Mr. Bruce McDonald. Good to see you, buddy. Things are good? Yeah, things are good. You got a big movie opening on Friday. You get to pull off the kinds of films that I think a lot of directors wish they could. And somehow you get the funding for them.
Yeah, this was like a little movie with a big experiment,
It's called The Tracey Fragments. For people who don't know what it is, tell them what it is.
It's about a 15-year-old girl named Tracy who sets out to look for her little brother, Sonny, who thinks he's a dog. Mm-hmm. And it begins on the back of a bus, and she's naked underneath the shower curtain, and it's kind of, she'd be like one of those crazy people you see at the back of the bus.
Right.
And in this case, the movie's about her.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a portrait of what it's like to be 15, kind of crazy, kind of romantic. Kind of nuts.
I haven't seen the film, but I've only seen 8 seconds of it because it's the 8 seconds that I'm in. Did you leave it in the final edit?
Oh yeah, you're
okay,
in.
Good.
You're good. So I was like, George comes and he was very gracious, and there's a moment in the film where Tracy imagines herself to be a world famous rock star, and of course that meant having the the applause of George and the kind of the approval. So George appears in Tracy's fantasy.
But not like that, because she's 15 and I'm not R. Kelly, so we don't do that kind of thing. But I want to talk to you about, your career now versus when you first started going. I remember when I was a kid, I went to see Agnes of God at a drive-in because I was snuck in, and I found out later you had an uncredited, you worked on that film as well?
That's right, yeah. I was a driver on that film. I got to drive the director, Norman Jewison. That was my first kind of, entree into the real film business.
Well, he made a really big impact on a lot of Canadian directors, didn't he, Norman?
Yeah, well, he's the guy that made Rollerball, Jesus Christ Superstar, Fiddler on the Roof, Russians Are Coming, Heat of the Night, like just this unbelievable amount of like fantastic films. And he moved back to Canada in '78, and he's been, quite tireless in kind of supporting and giving a lot of young filmmakers confidence. Clement Virgo, mm-hmm. who has a new film out, and tons of people. So he likes to remind people that I was his driver. He gets a big kick out of that. This person used to be my driver. That's really funny, right?
But and in a sense, when you're a young Canadian director, because at that time, like I said, there weren't a lot of Canadian directors who you heard much about, except for him and Cronenberg, really.
Yeah, that's what, when we grew up, those were the two guys that we knew of that did things on a consistent, fantastic basis. So we were kind of like people like Adam McGowan and Patricia Rozema and myself. We didn't really have a big map of what you're supposed to do, what you could do, how you could do it. So it was a really great community of people in this city, especially in Toronto, that kind of helped each other out, and one would edit for the other, one would shoot for the other, and it was a really great gang. And we gave each other, I think, courage to do what we do.
And when it comes to working with actors, you like to spend a lot of time working with people that most people haven't heard of yet.
Yeah, I've taken a chance on people like the shopkeeper across the street, and people like Don McKellar, who's quite well known now as an actor. When you're starting out, I mean, I think you just take a lot more chances because you don't have the money, you don't have the professionalism or the experience to do it the right way, so you do it the instinctual way. And you know, the instincts have served us pretty well over the years.
Well, that's what I wonder. You know, when people get the money and there is the right way, does that take something away from making a film?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's nice to make something when you haven't, you know, it's like exploring another country. So your eyes are open, you're really fresh, and you're seeing things that maybe people don't often report back on. And when you're doing something you think the way it should be done, maybe you're doing it the way it's always done and it doesn't really surprise people. So I've done sort of both. I've done films that the way they should be done and films that maybe the way they shouldn't be done. And I've always been really surprised that the audience is responding to the films that seem to surprise them are the films that sort of shouldn't be done.
Which one is the Tracey Fragments?
The one that shouldn't be done.
Yeah. Well, you're working with somebody who I think is maybe the best actor in this country, in Ellen Page.
Yeah. No, she's fantastic. She's just turned 20. She was in a movie called Hard Candy, which she became well known for. Marion Bridge, X-Men 3. She played Kitty Pryde. So she's done like independent stuff, and she's done big movies. So yeah, she's like a little Marlon Brando in a 20-year-old girl's body.
Incredible actress. Yeah. And you make movies, but I mean, a lot of people won't know you've done episodes of Queer as Folk. You've done episodes of Degrassi. Queer as Folk, Lonesome Dove, Ready or Not, Emily of New Moon. What's it like making shows like that? When it's aside from maybe Queer as Folk, which you could sort of see, you could get into.
Yeah.
People go, hey, and Bruce McDonald did Degrassi. That's interesting. Do we really want? Is this guy teaching our kids? What the hell's going on here?
Strangely, Degrassi and Queer as Folk have merged in some sort of strange way. It's kind of, to me, it's the only chance you get as a director to direct. I mean, to sort of practice what it is to direct. Otherwise, it'd be every 4 years you might make a film, or every 3 years. So it's a fantastic. It's like I look at it like, not to demean it or whatever, but it's like target practice for me, or it's like working out and learning and working with new people and meeting a lot of the people that did Tracey. I had met from the designer from Queer as Folk and the DP from another TV show. So that's where everybody kind of learns their chops and becomes a pro and becomes good at what they do.
I wonder how many times. I suppose it's good easy money too, in a sense, isn't it?
It's great money. Yeah.
How many times, like, you take a look
easy money, but but easier than working and shipping, receiving at the Humpty Dumpty potato chip factory in Rexdale.
Yeah, which is what. I remember that factory. I used to go. I lived in Rexdale when I was a kid. I wonder for you, when you take a look at the offers, because I'm sure you get lots of offers. Do you often take jobs? Like when you make choices, I'm taking this one for the cash. This is a money job. This is an art job. This is a money job. Do you kind of look at it like that?
Yeah, because you make good money doing TV stuff and other things, and if it's clear that's what it's for, I can use that money for to buy a book or to support a writer or to develop a project. So it really does fuel the whole project. It's great. You need to make money.
Sure. A lot of people were first introduced, even though it wasn't one of your first films, but it was Hardcore Logo. When people saw Hardcore Logo, they kind of, the world of Headstones and Hugh Dillon, who's turned into this really, really great actor, was in that film. And now I'm here, and I've read a script for Hardcore Logo, the sequel. Yeah. Is it, you've rewritten it? Where does that sit?
Well, you're in that.
Well,
you've written in.
I was only in an old seat. I don't know if I'm in the new one. But moreover, that film was so important to a lot of people, Hardcore Logo. Are you going to do a sequel? Because he didn't make it at the end of it. In case I didn't see it, I won't spoil it.
In the original film,
he died.
Yes, he blows his head off with a revolver. We figured out a way to bring him back, actually. This is much on the part of Hugh Dillon, who's the singer turned actor, and he's been knocking on my door for about 5 years saying, Bruce, we got to resurrect this character of Joe Dick, who is this swaggering, sort of alcoholic rock and roll singer who's very entertaining. And he loved playing this character. So I thought, well, why not? Why not take a shot at it? So he would come to my place and kind of forced me to sit. He would sort of say, okay, we're going to write this. And he came for about 2 weeks, and he kind of forced me to write this, and not forced me, but he would sit across the table from me from 8 to 11 each night for 2 weeks and just stare at me. kind of thing as I kind of wrote up the script, and he would help out occasionally, but it was kind of like, you're going to write this, I'm going to sit across from you until you finish it.
That's an interesting way to encourage someone to finish it. Are you happy with what you got? Are you looking to get this made now?
I was really surprised, yeah. His, I was slightly intimidated at first, but it's worked out in the end, and Hugh's got a surprising gift for dialogue and fresh ideas, so yeah, we're going to give it a go, I think.
It's good to see you, man. Come back to the show if you can.
Yeah.
Bruce
Thanks so
McDonald,
much,
everybody.
Yeah.
Right on. Got this new film called Tracey Fragments, starring Ellen Page. It opens this Friday. Please go watch this movie. Coming up tonight, the list, the top 5 food fights of all time. We'll be right back. All right, come back tomorrow because the American badass Kid Rock is here. Plus, this man